Secrets we bury. 9 stories they'd never admit to family or friends. 1. Alright, here's the wildest thing I, 34M, will probably ever share. A decade ago, my college girlfriend and I were madly in love, the kind where you're convinced nothing could break you apart. But she had some serious baggage. A father who was into some dark stuff, and dangerous people tracked her down for reasons she wouldn't explain. One night, she suggested something insane, faking her own death to escape them. We planned it down to the last detail, even had a friend report her missing after we, accidentally, let her raft drift down a river. The thing is, it worked. She vanished. No one suspected a thing, and I heard through the grapevine that she's living in Hawaii now under a new name. Her mom thinks she's dead. Her college friends have no idea, and sometimes I wonder if she even remembers me at all. The crazy part? Sometimes I get postcards from her, with no return address, saying she's happy and free. But she never says thank you. Guess I was just a chapter in her book of escapes. 2. 37F, can't believe I'm writing this, but maybe Reddit will be the only place I can get this off my chest. I love my husband. He's an incredible father. But here's the secret. He's not our daughter's biological dad. It happened one night before we were married, during a break in our relationship. I made a mistake, hooked up with an ex, and a month later, I found out I was pregnant. My husband was ecstatic, and I never had the courage to tell him the truth. Our daughter looks just enough like me that no one's ever questioned it. But here's the thing. Sometimes I see my ex's little quirks in her, tiny habits that don't come from either of us. I live with this constant fear that one day, the truth will come out, and I'll lose everything. Every time I look at my daughter, I feel this pang of guilt that just won't go away. 3. 29M, was broke, desperate, and stupid. A buddy of mine introduced me to a guy in a suit who said he'd pay me $5,000 to give my testimony as a witness to a UFO sighting in Nevada. At first, I laughed it off, but then he showed me the cash. I had bills to pay and no real job, so I took it. They drilled me on what I saw, even put fake bruises on me, told me to act like I was in shock, and coached me for hours. Next thing I knew, I was giving an exclusive interview to a major news outlet. For 2 years, I was flown around the country, asked to share my story, and even met with supposed scientists who assured me it was important research. I figured I'd be outed eventually, but somehow the story just kept going. They paid me well, so I played along. Now I'm seeing more documentaries popping up about my sighting, and my friends are eating it up. I'm in way too deep to ever admit the truth, but sometimes I wonder, who was really pulling the strings? 4. 26F, was 8 years old when I did it. I told my mom I had a weird feeling after eating peanut butter, and suddenly, everyone was fussing over me. My mom took me to the doctor, but nothing came of it. No allergy, just a reaction to attention. So, I doubled down. I kept faking it for years, swore off anything with peanuts, and my family believed me without question. I became that kid with the special snack bag at parties and school events. Now I'm 26, and my mom still buys me almond butter, still reads labels like a hawk. My husband and friends all think I'm seriously allergic, and I'm way too embarrassed to admit that it was all just a lie. Sometimes I wonder if anyone would even care now, but at this point, I can't undo it without looking insane. 5. Alright, this sounds horrible, but hear me out. 32M, had a boss who was a nightmare, micromanager, always on my case, total jerk. Well, one day I noticed he was texting someone a little too intimately. Turns out, he was cheating on his wife. I thought about confronting him, but I knew it'd cost me my job. Instead, I made a fake account and sent a few tips to his wife, making sure to keep it anonymous. But it blew up in ways I didn't expect. His wife took the info to his company, he got fired, and then their entire marriage went up in flames. I never thought it would go that far, and I sometimes wonder if I took it too far. But hey, he ruined my life for 2 years, so maybe karma was just coming full circle? 6. Everyone thinks that I, 41F, am this straight-laced businesswoman, but I've got a side hustle that's unconventional. I fund a small underground poker club, That's way more profitable than anyone would guess. A friend of mine got into some deep debt, so I helped her out by investing in her little card club. Fast forward 6 years, and it's expanded into something huge. We've even got people from the suburbs driving in on weekends to gamble. People assume I'm just some boring corporate manager, and if my family knew, they'd lose it. I've done my best to keep it discreet, but sometimes I look at my quiet little life and can't believe my biggest source of income comes from people betting their savings away. If anyone finds out, I'll lose everything. But man, the thrill is addicting. 7. So, my 30M best friend and I have been close since college, and she knows everything about me, except for one thing. She thinks I'm sterile because, after a wild night out in our 20s, I told her I found out I couldn't have kids. But the truth? I have a son I gave up for adoption. I was too young and irresponsible, so I never told anyone. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever try to track him down, but I know that would ruin his life. I keep this sterile, like going just so no one ever asks me about kids, but it kills me every time my friend talks about how she understands my struggle. I'm just a coward hiding from a reality I can't face. 8I42F won a small lottery jackpot 4 years ago. Nothing insane, but enough to change my life. After taxes, I took home around $600,000, and I didn't tell a soul. I kept working, kept living in my tiny apartment, and banked the whole thing. I even put a few thousand aside in case people ever noticed me spending extra and got suspicious. The thing is, I don't want anyone's opinion on what I should do with the money. My family would guilt me into giving them loans they'd never pay back, and my friends would see me differently. Now I have this secret life where I take weekend trips to random cities, rent nice Airbnbs, and pretend I'm just a regular tourist. Someday I'll retire early, and no one will ever know how. 9. This sounds insane, but I swear it's true. My 27M girlfriend of 3 years dumped me out of nowhere, and I couldn't handle it. So I did something I'm not proud of. I snuck back into her house, crawled into the attic, and just stayed there for a week. I wanted to see if she had someone else, to know if she missed me, and maybe even try to talk to her when she was alone. Eventually, she heard me moving around, called the cops, and I barely managed to escape through a side window. She still has no idea it was me. Sometimes I look back on it and wonder if I lost my mind for a bit, but I haven't had a relationship since.